Monday, March 28th. I'm going to call to order the Board of Aldermen regular meeting. This is officially our last meeting of the year, unless something else comes up, we have to have something emergency. So, if I could get a roll call, please, Tara.
Alderman Motley? Here. Alderman Hudson?
Here.
Alderman Wilkins?
Present.
Alderman Stevens?
Yes.
Alderman Rogers?
Present.
Alderman Magley?
Yep.
All right, everyone's here. If I can everybody stand and join me in the pledge of allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I'm going to make an announcement with the meeting memo. We're going to have a public hearing. Something I'm going to bring up. We have a couple of folks here, I think, that will be addressing us, and I'll have that at the end of the comments from citizens. We have Connie here, and this gentleman here, Andrew with the union, I believe. Aren't you the union representative? Okay. So at that point, if you would like to give us any updates, anything you want to say, I'm going to add it in at the end of the public comments, and that gets you done kind of in the front of this thing, so you folks can go on and do whatever you do. So I apologize for not having you guys on the agenda. I probably should have done that, but things have been a little hectic in my life in the last couple of weeks. So anyway, apologize.
So sorry, were you saying you want to do that
At comments from citizens, after the public hearing 5, and then we're notice budget hearing. If anybody has any questions about the budget or comments about the budget, what that would be a public hearing we have to have. And then it'd be after comments from citizens, which should put us pretty early in the agenda of things to be done tonight.
Perfect.
Make sense?
Thank you.
Everybody okay with that on the board? Okay. So what we'll do then,
Need a motion for that?
yeah, what we have.
So moved. Second.
I have a first and second to move these two folks to the end of the public comments from citizens. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That's where we will move them into the agenda. Thank you. That moves us to item 4, the meeting memo for year end is in the packet. Basically, we have to have that every year.
No, this is just my memo that kind of highlights some of the changes that are in the packet. Normally, it's just, doesn't have its own heading.
Well, we have something that has a heading, but it's on here, so I'm gonna address it. Because I want somebody to say we're trying to cover anything up. That's the last thing I want to go into Centralia. So that's what it is. It's a memo that we usually have in the packet. In general, I take
It
it.
just explains the things that are on the agenda,
Right, so anyway, so
since we have a large agenda.
we have a large agenda, that's why that's there. She just told us what it was, and I agree 100% with her on that. So that moves us to 5, the public hearing. A, notice of budget hearing for fiscal year 22-23. Our fiscal year ends at the end of this month and starts April 1. So that's what that's about. Do we have anybody here for that part of the meeting?
Linda Borman, 800 Jason Court. In going through the budget, I went through it again the other day. On page 109 of the budget, it lists a building inspector. I realize it's only for supposedly a half a year, but in looking at the other stuff that was in the packet, it says we only had 99 permits of whatever sort that were inspected or needed to be inspected, whatever the case may be, and that, I don't see how you justify.
Give me just a second. We don't have it budgeted for a building inspector, so let me look and see exactly what you're seeing. Because it could have just been verbiage that's not been taken out of the budget, and maybe I overlooked it, because I have a lot of pages to go through.
Well, it also was the rent inspector thing, rental property inspections.
And you're saying that we have money budgeted it for salaries for that position?
It's on page 109.
I'm on 109 of the actual budget right there. Linda, when I look at this on 109, it's showing the electric utility fund. Is it 109 of the actual budget itself, or was it like 109 in the numbering?
No,
on
just in the
electronic?
numbering on the computer.
Okay, let me go up just a second.
So 109 in the budget's electric.
Yeah.
Okay, police buildings and grounds is what I have on 109 of the agenda
copy of it, or is that something else? Is
That's-
that just all the
He doesn't
ordinances?
have the
Okay.
entire
No.
budget.
Okay, sorry.
Okay,
I
right
just-
right here is where she's at, so it's on page, it is on page 45, it's mentioned that funds are budgeted for 1/2 of a year for a building inspector in anticipation of the city taking out buildings inspections. So that's on page 45, the actual 45, 46 of the number budget.
Because I don't believe we actually have anything budgeted for that.
It's 20.
There are no salaries budgeted for that. That wording is probably from a prior budget that we were looking at. So what we have budgeted is contract labor, which is what we pay the county for doing the
Okay.
inspections.
But it does say a half a,
It does, so,
Okay,
I mean,
well, in that
if we need
case
to
then-
take that out, then we can.
Yeah, we'll make a
So-
note to look at the budget.
Yeah, we can take
Make
that out.
note.
It's not budgeted
So
for
let's make that
salaries.
notation.
okay, well, I just
Good.
I just saw the notation, I'm
Well,
sorry.
thank you for
That's on
Karen.
page
It's page
45.
45.
Actually,
so
on
that
page 45.
of the numbered document.
On my stuff, it was 109, I apologize.
That's okay.
So, and then the other, just real quick, your comp time thing, so does that mean that there'll be no more overtime in the city
Absolutely
offices?
not, no. We have already eliminated as much overtime as we possibly can. There's very little overtime in City Hall right now. But sometimes there is, and
Mhm.
sometimes, I mean, especially if we're looking at the end of the fiscal year and we're trying to get everything in that we
Oh, I
possibly
understand
can.
that.
I don't think that we will ever eliminate overtime 100%. I just don't think that that will happen. But the comp time does allow us to give employees the option to turn that comp time, or turn the overtime into comp time and take the time off. So then that would, I mean, if
Well,
we
that's what I
choose
was-
to, then
yeah.
it would eliminate it, but it's a choice of the employee. It's not mandatory
Okay.
that they have to take comp time.
Okay, thanks.
Yep.
Good, thank you for that. Anyone else at this time? With that being said, then, I will close the public hearing. That moves us to item 6, comments from the citizens. I had nothing emailed to me, we'll have people here potentially, but I had nothing emailed to me. Did you, Heather, have anything sent to you by email? I did not this week, or the last couple of weeks, so we don't have anything that I need to share electronically was sent to me. So that moves us to comment from citizens.
Just me? Okay. I'll make this quick.
That's fine.
So I haven't met you all before. My name's Andrew Hutchinson. I'm the union representative for Local 955 laborers. So we're the public works electric folks. And basically, we just wanted to say, this is not an antagonistic comment, which I'll be honest, often we're fighting with the governments that we represent. You all, in terms of, we represent the city of Kirksville, Truman State, city of Columbia, Mizzou, the highest starting wages, the folks who treat our employees the best, this is no joke, is the city of Centralia. Your starting wage for new hires is higher than Boone County right now. So with this and with the comp time policy, allowing folks to be more flexible, there was some stuff we had to work out about how it works with the overtime language in the contract. We worked it out. So this is just a message from, the folks who keep the streets plowed and the city running. Thank you so much for your support of these city's workers.
So would it be fair to say that what you just told us, which is great news, it's good to hear, because we've all worked, and these guys have worked at it before I became the mayor, so a lot of these folks have been involved with the board for a long time, so it sounds like the work, the due diligence, and what we've gotten to at this point is something that, and what you represent as a whole, Centralia is a good place to work.
Centralia is a very good place to work. I mean, there's a reason you all are fully staffed in all public works, right? And the county is missing like 10 people. So we appreciate your all's work.
That is good news, thank you for sharing that with us, we appreciate it.
Yeah, I was happy to make the drive to do it.
Come back anytime you have a No, that's what we're striving to do, right? And there's been a lot of hard work done before you see me with these folks and her as well and Heather. And so it's good to have gotten to a point because we want to attract and hire good people. We want to retain those good people. And we want to continue to stay ahead of the curve. So it sounds like that's justifying what we're doing.
You can look at public sector workers across the state and they tend to be older. And I think the way that you all are attracting new, young talent is indicative of the value you put on people who make your city work. So they're very appreciative and they wanted to make sure I was here to say that, sorry.
We're very
Thank you.
appreciative of everything they do, because
Yeah.
they bend over backwards taking care of our community, and we love it.
Yeah. I'll
They're
pass
all
that
part
on.
of the community too, which is nice, so that's great.
Yeah.
I believe that brings up someone else that we have here.
Hello, thank you for Mayor Cox for allowing me to, talking to me a couple weeks ago. My name is Connie Leopard. I'm running for Boone County Presiding Commissioner. I live south of Columbia, not in the city limits, out in the county. I'm a fairly lifelong resident of Boone County, lived here since I was in elementary school. My husband Mike and I own Quality Drywall Construction. I'm the president of that company. I've been 40 plus years in business. So I serve currently on the Boone County Children's Services Board, my 4th year on that, which is a county commission appointed position, as well as on this Central Missouri Subcontracting Enterprises Giving Gardens, which is a sheltered workshop in Columbia for some of the developmentally handicapped folks to allow them to have some good employment and a good community. I also serve on the as a regional member of the Builders Association Board. Also serve on the National Association of Building and Construction Board as their national parliamentarian. I served in 2016, 2017 as the national president of that organization. So I'm very plugged into the county. I'm putting my hat into the ring for this position because I love the county. What you guys do here is great. I met a lady from your community a couple weeks ago that said that Centralia was the best kept secret in Boone County. You may want to keep it that way. But you do have a great engaged community here. What you do is wonderful. You have a beautiful community. So I'm here to learn and to listen. And that's what I plan on doing. Should I be blessed enough to be elected as the next presiding commissioner, I will be plugged into what's going on all around the county, not just in the city of Columbia. So they take up a lot of air. But anyway, I appreciate being here, introducing myself. I feel like my many years in construction lends me to infrastructure issues. I read plan specs, that's what we do every day. A couple notable projects we're working on right now is the Boone Electric headquarters. We do metal framing, drywall, acoustical ceilings, that scope of work. So we're working on that project as well as Alpha Phi sorority on Providence Road. So that's where our crews are working at right now. So anyway, thanks for allowing me to introduce myself. I'll be here later on. I'm going to listen to what you all have going on. If you have any questions for me later, I'd be thankful to answer anything you have for me. So thank you.
Thank you for your time. Appreciate that. And for transparency, to make sure that I would typically have had her on the agenda herself as a topic, and I would do the same for anybody else that's running for a role. So it's definitely, we would extend the same offer to someone else that would be running in the role of transparency to make sure that happens. So no intention to hide a potential candidate coming in and speaking in comments. So just want to make sure everybody knew that. Now we'll move ahead. Any other, I take it there's no more comments from citizens. Nothing, okay. That moves us then to the consent agenda. We have Board of Aldermen meeting minutes, A. B is the Public Works and Utilities Committee meeting minutes. B, C is General Government and Public Safety Committee meeting minutes. D is the Collector's Report. E is the Treasurer's Report. F is the Activities Report. G is the Financial Report. H is Bartlett West Monthly Report. Yeah, we have a video,
Some drone footage of
some
that.
drone footage of the proceedings going on out there on a weekly basis, what's happening from the air, okay? Which I kinda like that, because it's funny, I just got a thing from MML that they sent to me in an email talking about the future of project management, and that was one of the tools that they were talking about starting to use, which I found was very interesting. And we had one of the board members that was willing and had the ability to operate the thing. First of all, I wouldn't have. We'd have a lawsuit probably, I'd probably fly into something. But we had the thing, and it's got some footage. So they say it's a good way to start to manage projects from afar, and also to document activity and the things going on. So I think it's very a great resource to use as part of a project management portfolio of things to have your resource. So anyway, we have that, so we'll take a look at that. And so holding that thought, I would entertain a motion later to approve all of this after we look at that, or if we need to separate anything out or any comments of what you've seen as a whole. I'll accept that. at that time, okay? So if we've got that, we'll go ahead and somebody will have to update us on what's going here.
Is this now or?
Mhm.
Yeah.
They're just pictures, that no video.
Okay, there'll be pictures, won't be video, so we'll go through the pictures. Uh-oh. Where you going? As you can see, nothing was going on. Now, here we go. Okay.
Just flip through on Karen.
Wait, you want me to flip around?
That was not just something, right, so they're getting ready to issue it.
Lighten the picture of this thing, because the lighter on here.
Not really. Just before dark.
So Blake, are they gonna have to drain that water out of that basin there to do that 4-foot cut on that south, on
Yeah.
that west-north end?
Correct.
So they're gonna have to pump all that water out. Does it have the clay liner in it already? That's the bottom basin you're looking at there.
Not to my knowledge.
So the water pretty well already, isn't it?
It does.
What's that?
Told him water pretty well already, but they got to play basin.
But Mark has been out there working, right,
Correct.
with Fisher?
When they can. I know the past, I think,
It rained
Last
all-
week
it rained
was
all
pretty
week last
rainy.
week, yeah.
So,
They pulled the track.
so I'm
on
gonna
it.
ask a question. How many
Sorry.
people have been out there working? One
Just
guy
Mark.
with one piece of equipment?
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, we talked about that, did we not? That we needed to see some real effort. So you may wanna help them as a project manager to understand effort does not mean, just like when we go to somebody's front yard, if it needs to be cleaned up, it's not moving one piece of wood every 2 weeks, means you're making progress towards improving the property, right? And meeting what we're expecting. So I would suggest you go back and you light a fire on them pretty hard, because if we don't see good faith, we're gonna have a real problem when it gets time to them needing any kind of extension.
Absolutely. And I've
Well, I
requested,
understand why they've had one guy out there last week. It rained all last week. They did pull their big trackhoe in last Thursday. He did work a little bit Thursday and a little bit Friday
Okay,
of last
so
week.
point being,
I mean,
understood.
there's a lot of wet weather
Understood.
last week, so I can understand that.
Couldn't work Saturday and Sunday.
So bottom line is
I
though,
don't think it's
Well-
a contract.
we've gotta be able to see something that
It's
we
in
feel
their
a real
contract.
effort,
Because
okay?
this is a prevailing
absolutely.
wage
I've
job, they
contacted
can't.
the
And
contractor
They
and
can't.
told
Well, I
them
mean,
that
they
this
can't.
needs more attention.
We
than
don't
what
care.
you're
Because I
doing.
was told by
But
Mike, he talked to the
the
gentleman that
contractor then
afternoon,
has to
after
pay
this
them
gentleman had
something
been up
like
here,
$100
the first day,
an hour.
decide whether he's gonna be able to do it. He talked to him that afternoon later, you talked to him as well, I think that day,
Yeah.
your boss did. And he made the comment, tell me if I'm wrong in it, so I wanna make sure I'm understanding what's being said. So I'm clear about what I'm thinking and how I'm feeling about it, is he made the comment that they had too much invested in the job, they planned on getting it done, they were planning on pooling some resources with somebody else, and they were getting ready to put all hands on deck and attack this thing unbelievably.
That's what I've heard.
That's what Mike told me that day, because I was interested. And so,
And I've actually requested an updated schedule from that contractor
yeah,
to outline not only to us, but to you all, hey, when are we gonna get this done, when are we gonna get that done?
Right,
We
understood.
can start building a timeline to achieve that deadline, that was extended.
And it's, you know, and we do wanna, you know, I understand that there's weather, and I understand that it's wet, you can't, you mess up more than you can get done, right? You make more of a mess out there with heavy equipment, I understand all that very well. But this was a job and a project that was quoted by several people, knowing the time of year and the expectations and the needs, and, we're at a point that we've gotta see some real effort on their part of resources deployed for us, not other places, and a real effort, or I'm not gonna feel very good about them being short if they are.
Absolutely. I've had those conversations with them. I said,
Okay.
you're not giving enough attention here. I think it's pretty clear.
But
and
but that's for you guys to project manage, that's what we have you for, we'll let you do that, but understand you have our full support to lean on. I absolutely believe you should always be fair, I understand that, but in good faith, I just didn't feel from what we talked about, the one guy being basically the one lone worker all the time. So thank you for updating me on that, but I'm getting pretty passionate about this deal here, because this is a large project for us. And excuses don't work for us when and you have to go to DNR and everybody else and deal with those folks, right? I mean,
Right.
And we just gotta get somewhere, or we'll end up being next fall and the weather gets bad early and we'll be out another year on this thing.
Yeah,
I mean, that sounds like crazy, but it could happen.
right. Oh, yeah.
Am
It's
I
not
wrong?
far off, not far off.
Okay, so we're in the spring, but we're already talking about a long time to get a lot of work done and have a 30-day retainage of no leakage, right, to get signed off
Correct.
on.
Yeah.
So, all right.
Are we done looking at the photos?
Yeah.
All right.
Put it on. So, anyway, now that my blood pressure got up, I apologize.
Did you have anything to add, like?
Yeah, go ahead and talk, it's a safe environment.
We know it's not.
I mean, we've had conversations with Fisher about just the attention this project has got and what it needs to have in the next 30 days. I think they're very aware of that, but we're definitely going to lean on them some more to get this achieved, without a doubt.
Probably what you should look at is days you feel without question, based upon the conditions, that they had an opportunity to work, that was a workable day. Okay, that's probably something that should be calculated and kept a diary of that, to where we know what days they should have been working and had the opportunity to have been working out there, all hands on deck. Their words, not mine. And what is all hands on deck, what did that look like? One piece of equipment, or two, or whatever it is. We need to keep up with what resources they've had deployed on the days that were workable, and how many days were workable. Can you help us with that?
Absolutely.
Because that would help us a lot to know there was X amount of days, in those days, for Terry or me or whatever, all of us to say, okay, there was this many days, of those days, these were how many were workable, and on those days, this is how many days they worked of those days, and oh, by the way, this is what they had on those days out there deployed. Does that make sense?
Right, yes, it does.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to paint a picture of fair expectations and no running and no hiding when you have that, right?
Correct, yeah. And when we had the discussion about extending the date of the contract of substantially complete, final completion, I told Fisher, to get an updated construction schedule that includes all that. Deadlines where you're gonna have this equipment out working with X amount of workers, and then you also allot weather days in that schedule. So we get to know what you're thinking at that point, and then what actually happens.
So have you seen that yet?
Have not seen that yet, so.
Shock me again.
That ditch that runs along, that runs down to the other ditch, are they putting a culvert in there? Or is that in their bid to put a?
That is not in Fisher's bid, no.
Okay, so we'll probably put the culvert in then?
It needs it well.
That'll be a
Yes.
change.
If there has
That'll
to
be
be
a
one, we
change
should.
order.
Well, we're not gonna go through Fisher.
Okay,
Oh,
Mike-
somebody else do it?
Mike and Matt wanted to do that for upkeeping that south portion.
okay.
We have to do a few things if we do a change order with Fisher, just with DNR, just with requirements, AIS, and documents like that. We thought it was fair to just, if Mike and Matt want to do it, then
Yeah,
Well, I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah.
You know, that's for you to work out between them, and if it's satisfactory to you all, the project being done, that's fine with us, I mean, right? I mean,
And we're gonna look at what size culvert it needs to be and, you know, the loading on that pipe and et cetera, et cetera.
My passion's centered around us making sure that we have clear deliverables, clear expectations, because when there's not clarity of what the expectations are, and what the work environment was, and what the opportunity was to get done, or get something done, then it's a gray area where no accountability. We need to make sure it's accountability, they need to get you that plan, and we need to track the days that are workable, and how much resources they have towards that, and they'll tell the whole story,
Right.
as far as I'm concerned. I mean, your own thoughts on that? I mean, it helps us, but I understand, but all.
If we have a plan that they're expecting X, and they can say, okay, we're short a week because of 3 extra weather days, okay, that's a different conversation than the conversation that we had previously.
Absolutely,
So,
yes.
you know, if they come to say we're short a week because we counted on 5 rain days and we had 8, okay, I can swallow that without too much problem, but we don't have a plan.
Well, we've asked for it too. I mean, that's concerning to me. If we've asked for
Yeah.
something, you should have gotten it.
And it shows not a lot of attention was, it's still not there yet, so,
Well, and how much time's passed since we gave the extension?
oh,
You don't have
the
to have, it,
contract,
I'm just saying, it's been a couple of weeks or again.
Right.
So, I'm not, I don't know, I'm open to see some real,
I told them the next 30 days is big for him.
it is, I agree. So, thank you for your update.
I don't know if this is further on in the agenda, but I can go through the packet. if
I
need to.
I do have it further on
Okay,
in there for, it's for approval.
Yeah.
okay, thank you.
Will we accept the consent agenda?
Second.
I have a first and a second to accept the consent agenda as submitted. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, that moves us to item 8, accounts receivable over $1,250. Well, they took some of the money
Oh, right.
I think there is. Okay, so I'm looking for accounts payable over $1,250, equaling $1,188,198.91. Then Fisher Grading's payments in there.
Make a motion, we approve the accounts payable over $1,250 and grant a total amount of $1,188,198.91.
Second.
I have a first and a second to approve the consent agenda of $1,188,198.91. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The accounts payable passes. That moves us to finance. The action agenda is what's starting now.
Do you want me to go through these amendments or?
Yep.
So there are several amendments in this resolution. It increases the golf course activity from $193,000 to $246,780. A lot of that comes from the fire that we had out there and then the repairs that we had to make. So we had offsetting revenues for insurance for that. The pool fund increased from $69,500 to $88,862. We had kind of a gap year in 2020 in the pool, so 16.5 was just an estimate, but we exceeded that. The rec center is increased from $290,000 to $300 to $332,749. Again, they had some roof damage, and so we ended up having some insurance claims there, so revenues and expenses as well. And the public safety sales tax fund came in better than we had anticipated, so there's an increase there. Water and sewer utility funds are just because of the project, so that's why those are increasing. And then there are some budgeted transfers from the rec center activity funds to the pool and the golf course to zero those funds out. The golf course, is probably going to run in the negative, but the pool always does, and so we get to zero those balances.
You have to look this up when I was going through it the other night. What was the final decision on the track at the golf course? Are we paying for it as the city?
Yes, $32,500 is budgeted from the equipment use fund for that.
One of the discussions was, we talked about, we have the equipment fund is what we talked about on that, correct? And so they came to me and I was talking about, could we help them? It was kind of a joint venture when we got into this a little bit before my time, but we agreed that we should have the golf course. It was 80 acres, made sense, good purchase. That being said, just to kind of bring it to speed how that conversation went, I wasn't in favor of subsidizing operational costs for any entity that they own, that they get a bucket of money for, right? That we pay taxes for them there. But we would be, because that piece of equipment, we share equipment and some things like that. Not that that potentially would be one, but they do work for the city and things like that. So being as we were owners of that, I said I would look at that. They had about $70,000 deficit, somewhere close to that, I believe, if I'm thinking right.
In the coming fiscal year, it would have been, yeah, about $67,000.
Okay. And so the 32 was a one-time capital thing that they came to us for this year. And I think our goal should be that it should be independent moving forward. The pool has to be subsidized, but it's a subsidy that we need to have because we need to have that amenity for the people of Centralia. This one, I think, needs to be, but I think they got to find a way to manage that. And we'll look at it as we go into next year, right? So that's kind of give you an update where that came from.
It's early in its life of
Sure.
city owned, so it might take a few years for them to get completely viable.
I move that bill number 2438 be given its first and only reading by title only.
Second.
I have a first and a second for Bill 2438, Bill number R-2203. Have you give its first reading? Can you do that for us, please?
You have to ask for-
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Thank you.
Please do its first reading.
A resolution adopting an amended budget for the city of Centralia, Missouri for the fiscal year of 2021-2022, commencing on April 1st, 2021, and ending on March 31st, 2022.
Move that bill number 2438 be adopted by roll call vote.
Second.
Have first and second for roll call vote for 2438. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Tara, roll call vote, please.
Alderman Motley? Yes. Alderman Hudson?
Yes.
Alderman Wilkins?
4.
Alderman Stevens?
Yes.
Alderman Rogers?
4.
Alderman Magley?
Yep.
Okay, Bill number R-22-04 passes. 2439.
Yeah, it's R-2203.
Oh, one, 03, yep. Okay, passes. That moves us to B, adopting budget for fiscal year 2022-2023. That would be with the verbiage removed,
45.
page 45, referencing the paid position for inspections being removed.
Move that bill number 2439 be given its first and only reading by title only.
Second?
Have a first and a second for Bill 2439 to be given its first reading. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
A resolution adopting a budget for the city of Centralia, Missouri for the fiscal year of 2022-23, commencing on April 1st, 2022, and ending on March 31st, 2023.
Move that bill number 2439 be adopted by roll call vote.
Second?
Have a first and second for a roll call vote for Bill number 2439. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, roll call vote, please.
Alderman Motley? Yes. Alderman Hudson?
Yes.
Alderman Wilkins?
4.
Alderman Stevens?
Yes.
Alderman Rogers?
4.
Alderman Magley?
Yep.
Bill number R-22-04 passes. That moves us to 10 legal. A is electric rate increase. bill number 2440.
Move bill number 2440 be given its first read by title only.
Second.
I have a first and second for first reading by title only for 2440. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? First reading, please.
An ordinance revising section 26-115 of the Centralia City Code regarding charges for electricity provided by the city of Centralia, Missouri.
Move that bill number 2440 be given its second read by title only.
Second.
I have a first and second for bill number 2440 to be given its second reading by title only. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
An ordinance revising section 26-115 of the Centralia City Code regarding charges for electricity provided by the city of Centralia, Missouri.
Move that bill number 2440 be adopted by roll call vote.
Second.
I have a first and second for bill number 2440 to be adopted by roll call vote. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Roll call vote, please, Tara.
Alderman Motley? Yes. Alderman Hudson?
Yes.
Alderman Wilkins?
Four.
Alderman Stevens?
Yes.
Alderman Rogers?
4.
Alderman Magley?
Yeah.
2440, ordinance 3117 passes. That moves us to B, repeal and replace 13-13 a solid waste rates ordinance. 2441.
Bill number.
2441.
Move that bill number 2441 be given its first reading by title only.
Second.
The first and second for bill number 2441 to be given its first reading by title only. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
An ordinance repealing subsection A of section 13-13 of the Centralia City Code and replacing it with a new subsection 13-13A to set service charges for the collection and disposal of solid waste.
Move that bill number 2441 be given its second reading by title only.
Second.
I have first and second for bill number 2441 to be given its second reading by title only. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
An ordinance repealing subsection A of section 13-13 of the Centralia City Code and replacing it with a new subsection 13-13A to set service charges for the collection and disposal of solid waste.
Move that bill number 2441 be adopted by roll call vote.
Second.
I have first and second for bill number 2441 to be adopted by roll call vote. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Roll call vote, please, Tara.
Alderman Motley? Yes. Alderman Hudson?
Yes.
Alderman Wilkins?
Four.
Alderman Stevens?
Yes.
Alderman Rogers?
4.
Alderman Magley?
Yeah.
Bill number 2441 passes. That moves us to C, law enforcement mutual aid agreement ordinance, bill number 2442.
Move the bill number 2442. Do you have a question, Tom? Are you gonna say something, or?
You can do it. I'll do the next one.
D for Donnie. Donnie's D.
I just want to make sure I didn't cut you off.
No.
Move the bill number 2442 be given its first reading by title only.
Second.
I have a first and second for bill number 2442 to be given its first reading by title only. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? First reading, please.
An ordinance authorizing the mayor of the city of Centralia, Missouri to sign a law enforcement mutual aid agreement with the city of Hallsville, Missouri.
Move the bill number 2442 be given its second reading by title only.
Second.
I have a first and second for bill number 2442 to be given its second reading by title only. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Second reading, please.
An ordinance authorizing the mayor of the city of Centralia, Missouri to sign a law enforcement mutual aid agreement with the city of Hallsville, Missouri.
Move that bill number 2442 be given to be adopted by roll call vote.
Second.
I have a first and second for bill number 2442 to be adopted by roll call vote. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Roll call vote, please, Tara.
Alderman Motley? Yes. Alderman Hudson?
4.
Alderman Wilkins?
Four.
Alderman Stevens?
Yes.
Alderman Rogers?
4.
Alderman Magley?
Yeah.
Okay.
You're off tonight.
It's my fault. Bill 2442 passes by roll call vote. That moves us to item D, Centralia comp time policy, resolution.
Move that bill number 2443 be given its first reading by title only.
Second?
Have first and second for bill number 2443 to be given its first and only reading for, by title only. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
A resolution establishing a compensation time policy for the employees of the city of Centralia, Missouri.
Move that bill number 2443 be given its second reading by title only.
It's adopted by roll call. It's a resolution.
Also, I move that bill number 2443 be adopted by roll call vote.
Second?
Have first and second for bill number 2443 to be adopted by roll call vote. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Roll call vote, Terry, please.
Alderman Motley? Yes. Alderman Hudson?
Yes.
Alderman Wilkins?
Four.
Alderman Stevens?
Yes.
Alderman Rogers?
For
Alderman Magley?
That moves us to E, change compensation for city employees for fiscal year 23. This is an ordinance, bill number 2444.
Move that bill number 2444 be given its first read by title only.
Second?
Have a first and a second for bill number 2444 to be given its first reading by title only. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
An ordinance to set the compensation of certain employees of the city of Centralia, Missouri.
Move that bill number 2444 be given its second read by title only.
Second?
Have a first and second for bill number 2444 to be given its second reading by title only. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? So moved.
An ordinance to set the compensation of certain employees of the city of Centralia, Missouri.
Move that bill number 2444 be adopted by roll call vote.
Second?
Have a first and a second for bill number 2444 to be adopted by roll call vote. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Passes. Roll call vote, please. Karen.
Alderman Motley? Yes. Alderman Hudson?
Four?
Alderman Wilkins?
Four.
Alderman Stevens?
Yes.
Alderman Rogers?
for
Alderman Magley?
Yep.
That moves us to F. Updating section 10-7 regarding fire department compensation. This is an ordinance, bill number 2445.
Move that bill number 2445 be given its first reading by title only.
Second?
Have first and second for bill number 2445 to be given its first reading by title only. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Passes.
An
Nope.
ordinance,
Oh, I'm sorry.
She's got to read it first.
an ordinance revising
I caught
section
myself.
10-7 of the Centralia City Code regarding compensation for the fire chief, assistant chief, and firemen.
Move that bill number 2445 be given its second reading by title only.
Second?
Have a first and second for bill number 2445 to be given its second reading by title only. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Passes. Second reading, please.
An ordinance revising section 10-7 of the Centralia City Code regarding compensation for the fire chief, assistant chief, and firemen.
Move that bill number 2445 be adopted by roll call vote.
Second?
Have a first and a second. That bill number 2445 be adopted by roll call vote. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Passes. Roll call vote, please, Tara.
Alderman Motley? Yes. Alderman Hudson?
Yes.
Alderman Wilkins?
Four.
Alderman Stevens?
Yes.
Alderman Rogers?
For
Alderman Magley?
Yep.
I'm gonna be dreaming this stuff tonight. I'm not kidding.
Yeah, it's
Lack
the
of
end of the
sleep.
year. All in favor? Power to the change
All in
order.
favor, yeah. So now we're going to 11, purchasing. A is the wastewater treatment facility change order, part 3. So what is this?
This is the change order that extended the deadlines with like next month.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
That's
It was a
all.
special meeting. It's exactly what we agreed
We're
upon that night.
we're all familiar with that, I think. Is there anything we had, or anything we changed here?
Just, if anybody has any questions on it, more than happy to talk about it.
No. I think we talked about earlier what the expectations kind of are, right, to manage it forward. That's fair.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
trust me, I mean, I'm pretty direct, but if at any time you feel like you're welcome to say, hey, I disagree or whatever, I mean, seriously, anytime, but I think what we're asking for makes sense to get us coordinated on it, so.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. So, I entertain,
Do we accept the change order part 3 for Fisher Grading?
have first and second to, for the change order part 3 for Fisher Grading. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? It passes. B is the electric rates.
These are electric poles.
Oh, sorry, poles.
It's a formal quotation, 'cause it's over $20,000.
These are the ones we're trying.
Staff recommends Bridewell Resources for this purchase. That is low,
Is this to replace old ones?
yes.
That's to have in stock, right? Some
Say
stock
backup, right?
as ahead before it changes. Because at one point we'll be buying them
Right.
because of creosote.
Or, yeah, well, yeah. So,
So $36,045.
yes,
Make a motion, we approve the purchase of the electric poles in the total amount of $36,045 from Bridgewell Resources.
Second.
Have first and second to approve the purchase of the electric pole from Bridgeport Resources. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Passes. C is the Centralia WW reimbursement request
It's
number
good.
7. It is, for amount of
it's $195,560.
That's the number.
47 cents.
Yep, 195,000, okay.
So what does this include for Fisher Grading? Is it up to the 10th of March?
Say the amount again.
The amount for Fisher Grading is $14,928.47.
Correct. That is stored material
Okay,
that they got on site, delivered on site. They actually showed invoices to us, I just didn't include it in here. But they,
Can I ask just a random question? Is it common for a contractor to, I feel like just, as an attorney, they seem like they have nitpicked and asked for every dime, every step of the way. I'm just curious from your perspective as like someone who's worked with you, is that common practice?
I would say probably not.
Okay.
How often do you see this?
It varies job to job, but it's on the rarer side, I would say. Like CNS, who did the pipelines, just requested for one pay request this entire, when we started on September 1st of last year, versus Fisher, there's a pay application every month for bits and pieces. That's, I hope that answers your question.
You're the expert, I'm just asking because it does seem unusual, so I'm just
I
trying
agree.
to get my bearings right. Thank you for
I
sharing.
agree. Yep.
Yeah, so.
Just trying to anticipate anything,
Right.
So just,
Right, and we'll, we
Very-
gotta keep an eye on all that, absolutely. But it's,
Do you have an inventory of those, in case something happens, that we have that product still sitting there when potentially we have somebody else have to do this job? Because I think you probably better start doing that as well.
right, yeah.
To be really, really honest with you, I mean, we're paying for resources for the job. I don't want them leaving the site if we don't get home together.
well, your
Oh,
attorney
right.
has a greater concern because once it's paid out and it's theirs, it can be subject to any future liens that any creditor may seek to assert against the company. And it does concern your attorney because I've started to do a little bit of research. But I echo what the mayor said, if that is our stuff, it would be nice to make sure that it is the city of Centralia's. And is there any contract provisions that you have within that prevents the attachment of any form of mechanics lien or other type of lien on any project dedicated resources?
Yes, that we have the contract in place to fully protect
Thank
this.
you.
Protect us
That
where
makes
that
sense.
wouldn't be at
That's
risk.
it. Right.
Correct.
But still,
Correct.
we don't want it, and I'm not, but I've been around the world, stuff can leave
Oh, absolutely.
if things change, so
Yeah.
we own it, we wanna keep it,
Absolutely.
regardless who finishes the job.
Correct. And you all will own it. And
But I mean, we need probably an inventory of whatever we pay for. Out
Absolutely.
there.
And I have pictures of them
Okay,
on site,
okay,
but that's as of when I was there, so
understood.
anything can happen.
We probably need to look for it
24 hours.
back and see what we have paid for to this point of materials. And those that have not been used, we need to make sure there's an inventory of them and an auditing of them, and we have them and we know where they're at.
I
Okay? So if you could help us with that and get with Mike and get that process done, that would be great.
Absolutely.
Any other questions about the Centralia wastewater reimbursement request number 7?
I'd just like to highlight maybe the additional pay request from Martin General Contractors, the Part 4 contractor. That's, yeah. And that's okay to talk about right now, right? Okay. And they're the pump house contractor, and it's just for work they've been doing out at the northeast facility. We call it the New City Pump House
Right.
in our bid, so.
But that's not in here, is it?
Yeah.
It's
in
It's
the-
$174,612
Oh, that's the
for
biggest
this.
part of it, okay,
Yeah.
got it, the 14,000 is there,
Yeah.
Perfect. I don't have any questions about that with those folks. So, anybody else?
I make a motion that we approve Centralia WW reimbursement request number 7 in the amount of $195,563.47.
Second.
I have first and second to approve the Centralia wastewater reimbursement request number 7. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes.
I will get that signed and get it scanned over to you.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, that moves us now to old business. Do we have any old business? All right, and that moves us to new business. Number 12, mayor appointments. A, Chief Hatton is requesting considering the appointment of Brock Faven to the Centralia Police Department as a part-time officer.
This is contingent on successful completion of
Of
pre-employment
of
testing.
background and so forth and testing, right?
Yes.
Okay, based upon those, I would entertain an appointment for that. And reappoint Scott Long to the tree board for a 3-year term to end in 2025. I'll accept both of the same, unless you want to do it separately. Those appointments.
So moved.
Second.
I have a first or second to appoint Josh Pavin to the Centralia Police Department as a part-time officer based upon him passing the background check and other needed information, and to reappoint Scott Long to the tree board for a 3-year term to end in 2025. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Those are appointed based upon consideration of terms needed. All right, that moves us to 13, the city administrator.
My monthly reports in the packet. Do you have any questions, please let me know.
Any questions, any thoughts on that right now, everybody? Okay. 14, our city attorney.
Just quick news, I am now a certified grant writer, so I have an added skill to add to my quiver that does not include providing witty legal advice. But to that point, I had previously mentioned last month that the Department of Economic Development had opened up the request for information for extra funding for various projects across the state. So if the city were to decide to get together with your local RPC, your Regional Planning Commission, to apply for a grant, if there's anything that I can assist you all with Heather and provide kind of a little bit of extra support maybe you didn't have in the past, I now have that. Had already gotten my first successful federal grant, so I'm kind of happy patting myself on the back just a little bit. Other than that, we're just continuing to watch the legislature not do a whole heck of a lot of anything except argue with itself, so I don't have a whole lot of anything updated on anything yet, so nothing's really passed. And that's really about it. Oh, and I will not be here for your April meeting, so. help, so I mean, honestly, I would like to help the city if there's some way that I can add this skill, I mean,
Or if we're working with Lincoln Brown or anybody like that, we need help, she
Yeah.
can help head that up.
writing sections for something, and it's gonna take an all hands on deck, so I'm here to help.
Good, we keep getting certified, we'll keep getting you. So, all right, that moves us then to our city clerk. Ms. Terry, you got anything for us?
I was just gonna mention that there is, and I apologize, I left it on my desk, but, MML puts on a, elected officials training every year. They do have a virtual option again this year, so you can go in person or virtual. It's held in Columbia every year. It's a day and a half for the training. And then, law firm also offers a training for municipal, electees that, you could choose to attend also. It's about a day, and it's in Mexico this year, so one of them is. So it's good training. I have both of those agendas and dates and times. If you guys want that, let me know.
Very reasonable, too.
It is very reasonable.
$20 or something a head.
Mhm.
So,
Columbia one's definitely worth it.
yeah. All right, anything else? Okay, that moves us to 16, as may arise, a commuter parking lot. That was brought
So
up.
I got a call from James Matheson, lives here in Centralia, and he and others are, as gas prices are going up, commuting more, and people are coming from different areas. So his request was if there was a way the city could designate one of our existing parking lots as a place where people could park, think of a ride share, or, we used to have them in other cities I've lived in, bigger cities, but, and then if we could designate an area for commuter parking, and then our police could maybe go through it more often, just as to check the cars and stuff like that. You know, something on the side of town, one of our parks, maybe over in the rec center, or something that would make it easy for individuals. So that was the request that was brought up. I don't know the legalities behind it and the risks associated with it, but if it was something we could do, it might be something that would help if there's people living outside in the county, coming in, parking here, riding together in Columbia or somewhere else.
More people are thinking about that with $4 or $5 gas prices.
And that's what prompted the conversation.
They used to, but in Centennial Park all the time,
You
didn't
just
they?
designate it, and then you just pass an ordinance designating it as computer.
Can it be designated as commuter parking like Monday through Friday? Because if you're looking at the park, you're looking at like weekend tournaments and things
Well,
like
we have
that.
bicentennial with softball games for the high school.
Yeah,
I don't think
exactly.
that's a good idea for bicentennial.
It would be,
Well,
JC
you need
Park or
to
something.
think of restrictions too. Do you want semis to be able to park in the commuter lot? Because once you designate it as commuter, you need to think about what type of vehicles that you would like to allow parking there.
Limited to,
And,
I think, my 2 cents would be, and the request was more for people who are going to work.
mhm.
3 or 4 people getting together, park their cars, one person drive.
When you start talking about transport vehicles, and you start talking large size,
Yeah.
it takes up a lot of space, and it creates a bigger problem for us to be able to accommodate,
Could we just
accommodate
allow
20,
it without having an ordinance to designate it as such?
I would designate it as such because, I mean, you're allowing people to park. I think you have a liability issue, so therefore, I mean, you're giving permission as your law enforcement, like I said, will know that that's a spot that if a car sits there for, 3 or 4 days, that may not that may be more than taking a look at it, maybe a little closer, because commuter by most definitions is, no longer than like a 24-hour period. So that may give them a little bit more teeth if something's just sitting there to approach the vehicle and do a vehicle search and inspection. I would just suggest doing it, and that way it's clear.
The place maybe to consider, because they do have softball tournaments and stuff out there, would be the Northfield parking lot on the west end, potentially, not where they park towards the end by the road, and set a time, so, I don't know, we'll try to, because you have baseball games over there too, but.
And those games start at 5.
So that's the problem we have, right?
Yeah.
How much parking is at JC Park?
I mean, honestly, if you look at bicentennial, like it's Monday through Friday, well,
No,
if it's Monday through Friday, but if you go towards the back of bicentennial, like
Like
by
the
the
gravel?
the gravel back there, I mean, that's
Well-
not usually as full unless it's like a weeknight, but those games don't even start till 6:30.
Yeah, that's typically later. yeah,
So that might be a better.
the
option.
back
Might be an
side
option,
of
the
that,
back
then
side,
we could
yeah.
maybe expand it a little bit with some gravel or something if need be, if we would be some. Don't need to add some more space to it if we needed to accommodate that potentially, so,
We could look at some options, we'll talk to city staff and the park department.
yeah, see what we come up with on that. Good. Okay, moves us to
I make a
17.
motion, we adjourn.
I second.
I need a three-to-ending. I have a first and second to adjourn. All in favor? All opposed? It passes. See you on the